Okay, hello everybody. It's time for things to get very exciting. New series underway. It's now available. You can find it on Amazon. There was The Impossible Future. Now the new series is Beyond the Impossible. We're picking up a few years after where the events left off in The Impossible Future. This story, however, is a new story, new characters, new locations. Some of the locations and characters from the old story will come back to down the line. A couple might even be vaguely referenced in this first book. But generally speaking, we're moving into new territory, fresh new characters, and new ideas. So this is the Simmering Seas. As I say, it is now available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, or hardback. And we are ready to go. And so this takes place primarily on the planet of Hokkaido. Kara Sung is our driving character. She is very privileged, but she is also very headstrong. And she has been following a bit of a personal crusade over the past 3 years based upon a strange warning that her brother Lang gave to her within a couple of days before he died. Some say his death was accidental. Some suspect murder. She believes it was suicide, that what he was facing was too big for him to handle. And so her role as an engineer at Nantao Global, one of the biggest corporations on Hokkaido, has given her a great opportunity to investigate. And now she is about to meet a contact, and she's enlisted her personal assistant and longtime best friend Chikwa Beck to go along with her. Now they're headed into an old part of the city of Pynchon where they live. This is a place called Zozo. It is along the coast, old stone streets, a lot of the buildings that have been there for the better part of 800 or 900 years actually. And they're going to a place called Mao's Drop. And what I'm going to do is read to you a segment from that very scene so you can get a sense of kind of what's going on there. They entered to a raucous, smoke-filled den, the tavern's congested bar wrapped along the left wall. Patrons drank and pulled on their pipes 3 to 4 deep. To the right, a single row of tables sidled up to a continuous wooden bench built into the stone wall. Every table was occupied. Dolls mingled among the patrons, most carrying the strong musk of men who spent most of their lives at sea. The narrow tavern stretched back some distance before taking a pair of 90-degree turns, extending onward toward the ocean. A strong bass echoed from the rear where the entertainment performed. Kara saw nothing quite like it. Privilege kept her away from this part of the city. She was as terrified as she was exhilarated. Everywhere she looked, smiles and laughter. Some perhaps alcohol-induced, but a sea of joy. Still, these were Hockeys of a different breed, less refined, less inhibited, less predictable. The latter gave her pause. Chikwa leaned in close, whispering at first before realizing her mistake. She shouted her query in order to compete with the chaos. "Are we sure about this? It's very public." "That's the point. Follow me." Though she possessed no photos of the man, Kara received enough description from her sources to spy the contact. As a former chancellor, he'd tower over most Hockeys. Then there was the easiest identifier, his Anglo-European features. Out of 100 million humans living on the Lagos, only a few dozen were ex-chancellors who went native before the collectorate collapsed. The chance of seeing more than one in Mao's Drop was remote. She recognized him on a bench seat at the 8th table, alone, sipping soup, exactly as described. Broad shoulders, lean build, thick but well-manicured black beard, hair pulled back into a flowing, knotted ponytail. He wore a Sakne suit, gray with a red sash above the waist. Pinned above his heart, a lancet butterfly dipped in wax. He took the word native to its literal extent. This was traditional dress rarely seen, and even then among Freelanders who ascribed to the old ways of Hockey culture dating back to the Korean peninsula on Earth. Among this common rabble, he resembled a high priest for a religion long dead, the least and most hockey in the room. She tapped Chiqua and nodded, pointing to the empty chairs across the table. They took their positions. He did not look up. "May we join you?" Kara said. He dipped bread into his soup. "A timid request," he said. "You'll never make a living as dolls." "We don't wish to." "Of course not. But if you're going to enter miles playing dress-up, I recommend you take the part seriously. These people have little use for pretenders. Sit." He bit into his bread as they pulled back the chairs and made themselves comfortable. He drew a napkin from his lap and tapped his beard. When he finally made eye contact, his condescending grin suggested he was dealing with idiots. "Do you know what this is?" he asked, pointing to the soup. "Should I?" Kara said. "It's a bisque of yellow crab with Shilen vinegar. An ill-tempered affair. This," he said, lifting a small glass of green liquor, "is sank. When the bisque arrives, I stir in a spoonful of this green magic. It cuts the vinegar, adds sweetness. Sank is served on the side. How much to add is customer preference, but it is always added. It is tradition. It is authentic. Around these parts, those who don't know tradition draw long eyes and suspicious hearts." "Your point?" Kara asked. "Dolls never sit across from a client. They choose the closest possible seats. I recommend you fix your error now." Kara didn't wait to find out whether they were already drawing attention. She nodded, and Chiqua understood. They took a spot on the bench to either side of their contact. "Thank you, honored Miss Song," he said, turning to Kara. "I assume she is your personal aide. Beck family, yes?" "She is, Chiqua." "Apologies owed to the Becks," he turned to Chiqua. "Too many scapegoats during refinery, yes?" "Enough," Kara said. "That's not why we're here. Arnold Hamilton Cortez, I hope you're prepared to help us. Please, it's ham. Just ham. There's no honor in my business." And we continue from there. The mystery builds. He takes them to a room upstairs to have a conversation. She explains why she is there, and they begin to make progress. But there are others present in the bar that evening, others who have very different plans about what should happen. And soon enough, there will be laser pistols and death. And the story continues from there. I hope you'll take a look at the Simmering Seas. It is full of wild twists and turns and leads off into an entirely different kind of adventure by the end. So until next time, have a good one.